First News with Keeler in the morning on WIBX and WIBX950.com.
Mighty John, thanks for being patient with us. Good morning.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Good. Mighty John, the record guy. It's moneymusic.com. If you have a record and you want to ask, here's your opportunity.
We've already got some messages coming in, but first, John, I want to ask, you can tell us probably the value of just about any record that I'd spit out here this morning, but I'd like to know what you think about the longest river in the world. Is it Amazon or the Nile?
The River of No Return.
Okay.
This comes from...
What about River of Dreams by Billy Joel? Is that worth anything?
One.
Good one.
Yeah.
What's the value of that?
Yeah.
They're coming in early here, Brian in Utica, and you can send us, you can call 736-0186 or send it via the WIBX 950 app. Brian in Utica for Mighty John. I have an early 1970s vintage AC/DC on Atco Records.
Atco is a division of Atlantic, and that's where they had most of their hits. It's not a biggie, up to $15 to $20.
All right. My wife has a box set of Madonna's hits on 45. The box set looks really cool, very decorative. The 45s are all original 45s, and just in regular paper sleeves. You familiar with that at all?
Yeah, not a biggie. The big one from Madonna 45 is called Oh Father, and that with its picture sleeve is up to $1,000. So that would be the big one for Madonna.
Okay. Before, and I know we have a list of records, 10 records worth $100 or more. Why don't we get through that, and then the two bonus, and then we'll take some phone calls. I know Doug is waiting. He's got something. Actually, Doug spoke with you last night. Doug in Stittville we'll get to coming up in a moment. But, John, let's go through your list.
All right, for May, 10 records worth $100 or more. Supremes, Stop in the Name of Love, Before You Break My Heart. That 45 with its picture sleeve up to $100. The band, the album, Music from Big Pink, featuring their hit The Wait, current value up to $200. Chicago Transit Authority, the first album, Chicago Transit Authority with Does Anybody Really Know What Time It Is, also up to $200. Country can be collectible. Look for Loretta Lynn, her first 45. I'm a honky-tonk girl, $250. Creedence, Clearwater Revival, put out a 45 that was just gibberish, and that's probably why it's worth money. It's called 45 Revolutions Per Minute. It's up to $300. Reuben and the Jets, of course, was Frank Zappa and the Mothers of Invention. As Reuben and the Jets, the 45 Desiree, $400. Stevie Wonder, Motown, very collectible. Look for the Jazz Soul of Stevie featuring his first hit, Fingertips, currently up to $450. Got to have the Beatles on any list. Love Me Do, 45, with picture sleeve up to $500. 1968, Grateful Dead, Dark Star, 45, with picture sleeve up to $600. And number one on the list for the month of May, the King, Elvis, One Night with You. If you have a copy on RCA and the label is black, no more than $20. But if the label is red, you're up to $2,000.
Wow. It's amazing how those rare colors and whether it be the vinyl or the label or even something of a mistake on an album cover can make such a difference.
Yeah, the red labels were actually issued in Canada, but people went over to Canada on the border states and bought them, so we can find them in the States as well.
All right. And then you had a couple of bonuses. What do you have?
Well, there were two categories that are extremely collectible, rockabilly and doo-wop. In rockabilly, looking for a guy named Phil Gray, Pepper Hot Baby, currently up to $4,500. And for doo-wop, the Chantones, Come to Me, 45 up to $5,000.
Wow. I watched the Tina Turner documentary, which was really, really good.
Yes.
And in there's a story about Ike, and the first rock and roll record. And Ike Turner saying that he didn't get credit for it. Do you have any of that backstory?
The record is Rocket 88 and recorded at Sun Studios before Elvis. And in 1951, they recorded it. Ike, 19 years old, on piano. That's the only credit he has. He did play piano. Jackie Brenston gets the credit for it as the singer, and currently up to $5,000.
$5,000 for that.
Yeah.
How about that? All right, let's take some calls. We have, if you have anything, 315-736-0186. We'll pepper Mighty John here this morning. Doug in Stittville, who we talked to at the game last night. What do you have, Doug? Good morning.
Good morning. I have a Stevie Wonder double album set, Songs in the Key of Life.
Yes. Well, unfortunately, not everything by Stevie is worth a lot of money. So songs in the key of life, you're looking up to about $25 at most.
Okay, how about the Bob Seger album?
Well,
Silver Bullet.
Big album, a lot of sold. No more than $10 to $15.
All right.
I got one last one for you. It's the Monkees headquarters.
Headquarters. Oh, good. Well, you're up to $75 with that one.
Wow.
Nice.
How about
Well,
that?
I ended up better this time than I did the last time. I started out good and ended up bad. This time I started out so-so and ended up better.
Yeah, you always want to end on a hot ending.
Yeah.
Go out.
Yeah.
Go out with a bang. That's the way to go, Doc. All right. Good
Thank
stuff.
you.
Thank
Appreciate
it. Bill in New Hartford. William, you're on with Mighty John.
Good morning. How about Woodstock 1970, a three record album there?
Yeah. Well, it would have to be on Cotillion Records to be an original Cotillion. That's the label.
Yeah, it's Cotillion.
Yeah. I wish I could tell you it was worth a lot of money because it's a great album, but it's only up to about $30 for the set.
All right.
Yeah, $30.
Yeah, well, you didn't
Okay.
pay for that. You didn't pay $30 for it, I'll tell you that. So,
Oh, that's okay.
All right.
One other one, the Fifth Dimension. I can't find a year on it. It says it's a 2-record set. Includes Never My Love. I don't know what year it is.
Well, is it on Bell Records, Bell, or do you know the label?
Bell. It was on Bell.
yeah.
No, it's not a biggie. I wish I had better news
Not
for you,
big.
but no more than $20.
All right.
See, I always get excited when John's like,
Thank you,
"Oh,
Bill.
do you know what?
Thank you.
Is it on
Thanks.
Bell Records?"
Right.
And then you get an anticipation. You're like, "Wow, this thing's going to be worth a ton."
That is a complete setup that
Bait
John is
switch.
doing. He's, Never My Love Association, was that the original, by the way?
I think so, yeah.
I think it was,
I don't,
yeah.
They didn't write it. I think that Marilyn McCoo might have written it. She was
okay.
with the Dimension.
Okay. Oh, so that being their original song, technically that would... But I think the hit came from the association, I guess.
Yes.
Sgt. Pepper's, the album. What do you think?
Well, it's going to make a difference whether it's in mono or stereo. Do you have any idea?
I believe that it is stereo.
Well, mono would be up to $500.
Okay.
Stereo will depend on the color of the label. Black label with a rainbow band around it, up to $200. But if the label is green, purple, or orange, no more than $20.
All right. White album on, I guess it'd be Apple, right?
Well, the original is on Apple, and there's a poster that came inside along with 4 pictures of the Beatles, so
Yep.
you had everything.
Yep.
It can go as high as $300. If it's on Apple, if it's on Capitol, it would be a reissue at no more than $50.
Okay.
I think we asked this question last time,
315-736-0186.
but maybe I'm imagining it. Deb wants to know, are records still sealed in cellophane more valuable than when they're opened? And the answer
And before you answer that, I was always told you don't leave it in the cellophane because it'll warp the record.
Well, you're right. 2 reasons not to leave it still sealed. One, you do run the risk of the record warping inside. You want to break the seal but leave the cellophane on, because if you keep it still sealed, over time, that record being so tightly confined will press against the cover and leave the record impression on the cover, which will ruin the value of the cover, which is half the value. So break the seal, leave the cellophane on. And many times, as you said, we find the value maybe by the color of the label or something printed on the label, and if we can't see it, we can't tell, so got to break that seal.
Yeah, okay.
Ed in Rome says, my brother lives in Albuquerque. He has an unopened vinyl album from George Jones. The Race is On. It came from my grandmother. I think it dates back to the 60s. What do you know, John?
Well, again, break that seal. George Jones on Star Day is where the money is. Go up to $300 or $400 on Star Day, but I believe he has that on United Artists, which would be up to about $20.
All right. And Ed, still, break that seal.
And storing records, there's a stacking technique. There's, of course, the standing up technique.
Yeah.
Do you have a preference?
First of all, room temperature. Never
Room
in the basement,
temperature.
never in the attic. Heat and moisture are the big enemies. Store them like a book on a shelf, not horizontally piled on top of one.
Okay, all right. Let's take a few. What do I have? Deanne in Utica with a question. Hi, Deanne. You're on with Mighty John, the record guy.
Hi, how are you today?
Great.
I have just one question, is that, like, if you have records like this, where do you bring them to, like, get the money for them? Like, where do you suggest you take these records?
So if you have something that's worth something,
Yes.
it's great that it's worth something, but how do I get it from there to the pocket?
Well, just bring right down to the bank. They'll give you the cash. No,
that's right. Turn right in over at...
go to my website, moneymusic.com. We do put out a directory of buyers, people listed by state who buy records. When you go to sell, two things to remember. Number one, what is the current market value? And number two, what did you pay for it originally?
Oh,
and
my
that way
goodness,
you can
I wouldn't even know, because these are really old records that my mom had in her home, and I wouldn't know. But I mean, like a lot of then I have my own. I have a lot of 45s that you were just talking about with the paper sleeves, and I heard a couple that I might have. I have to get them. They're in my basement. But I mean, like if I did find them and dig them out and everything, I just wouldn't know where to go with them. That's the thing.
Well, again, you can go to my website, moneymusic.com, and we do put out a directory of buyers.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, and it's one of those things, too, where, John, you say, a record's worth currently valued at $100.
Yep.
Well, you got to find the guy who's going to pay you the $100 for it.
That is true. What do you say to Sinatra, a really nice-looking cassette box set?
No established value for cassette.
You have no idea. And how about the
what's an anchor of some kind? You can use it as a paperweight.
Doorstop, maybe.
How about it makes a great decoration, to be honest with you. So the box thing. How
if
about
you throw it out? It'll be worth money later.
Yeah, that's exactly how it works. How about the CDs? At a time, they were coming out with these, and they were in a cardboard sleeve of some sort, but they were mini CDs, not the full-size CDs. And some of those were put out as first issue. Any value to that?
Well, I don't, specialize in CDs. I can tell you the long box, which you're talking about, they were around for about 3 years before they went to the jewel case. And I do see a lot of the long boxes, not the CDs, the long boxes selling as much as $50.
I got to say, I saved, and I had a DJ service, so I had hundreds and hundreds of the long boxes. And I saved every one thinking that it was going to be worth something. Finally, one day in a move, I decided this is never going to be worth anything, and I threw them all out. And
well, you did a favor to the rest of us because you drove up the value.
I drove up the value. That's exactly
eliminating some of them that are on the market.
Yep. That would be something I would do. Okay, William, Bill is back with another one. Hi, Bill.
I'm back. How about original movie soundtrack from Saturday Night Fever from 1977, I think it was.
You should have quit while you were ahead, Bill.
What's it?
It's no more than $10.
Okay.
Oh, $10. Okay, I'll bother you with one more. Then.
Okay. Bill's on fire.
The Beach Boys, 69, the Beach Boys live in London.
Yeah, so Beach Boys do have some collectible records. That one, unfortunately, not among them. No more than $10 to $15.
Okay. All right, William, thank you.
All right.
Again, as John said, should have quit while you were ahead. Yeah. Are you okay on time if I have just a couple quick other questions, or you got somebody else coming up? Beach Boys. I just watched a documentary on them, and I loved the Beach Boys growing up. Of course, that was the 70s, so it was after I was listening to old music at the time. But I never appreciated that band and how amazing of a sound and the writing that came out of that band. Can you talk about some of what's valuable there and the band itself? Really was far more brilliant than I think most people give them credit for.
Well, their first 45 was called, of all things, Surfin' on Candix Records, and that's probably the most valuable, up to about $1,000. Album-wise, Smiley Smile, I don't know if you're familiar with that album, go up to around $500. But most of their hits are in that $30 to $40 price range. The picture sleeves can make a difference. Barbara Ann, which was a hit for them, the picture sleeve by itself up to about $100. So they don't command the kind of money that the Beatles do.
Right.
But they, and of course, one of the great bands of all time. I think they'd probably still be out there if it wasn't for the pandemic. So
Right. Yeah, think about that. Okay, John, as always, great stuff. We'll do this again real soon.
All right, guys. Thanks much.
All right, and it's moneymusic.com if you have any questions. So, okay, John, thanks.
Thank you.
Mighty John, the record guy.